Hey guys, welcome to Girls Frontline 2. So this is a complete common key guide for dolls in global. Okay, so common keys are actually unique to each of the dolls in your roster, but they can be equipped with other dolls that you have. Okay, so let me explain the parts of the common key. So let's take for example Groza. You have a stat boost in that common key. She has health boost 3%, and there's a common key effect. So, and also on the next right tabs are going to be the recommended dolls for the key or the common key that Groza has. Okay, so Groza has when Shelter is active, immune to displacement for one time, has a cooldown of 1/3. So this is recommended to be used by Groza or Sabrina because both of them have Shelter actually built into their active skill. So if you do have other recommendations, please comment them down in the comment section so that I may add them here. But for now, these are the ones that I would recommend. And let's move on to Nemesis. So Nemesis has attack boost plus 3%. The common key that she has is when the unit is under the effects of Insight, gains 3 additional tiles of movement after killing an enemy target. So most of the time or all the time, Insight belongs to all of our snipers. So we have Nemesis, Mozinagant, and Macchiato. So these three can, I'm recommending that can use this common key of Nemesis. I don't have here Dush because Dush does not, has or is not really powerful enough sometimes to kill an enemy to trigger the additional tiles of movement. So that is why Dush is actually not here. So let's move on to Sharkery. So Sharkery's common key has crit rate plus 3%. If a unit has more than one buff, increased damage dealt by 7%. So both Sharkery and Tololo are the recommended recipients of this common key. Both of them are going to, be self-sufficient in creating buffs for themselves. By the way, this is not really limited to the both of them. You could equip this with anybody in your roster as long as they can be given buffs. But the recommended dolls is going to be Tololo and Sharkery because they themselves can create their own buffs. So for Senya, Senya's common key has health boost plus 3. With applying a burn buff, there is a 50% chance to apply one additional buff to the target. So most probably this is going to be usually for healers or those who give out buffs, specifically for your burn buffs. So you have Seterisi, Senya, and Cheetah. So Lota has attack boost plus 3 for her common key, increased damage dealt to enemy with movement buffs by 7%. So movement debuffs. So movement debuffs, in terms of recommended dolls, you can go with Macchiato, Lota, Vepli, and Ulrid. Okay, so next up is going to be Kolfni. So Kolfni has health boost plus 3. Then you have before using a single target active heal, cleanses one random debuff from target. So recommendations for this is going to be all of the healers, as you can see here: Senya, Kolfni, Sensorisi, and Cheetah. So for Krollik, she has stat boost plus crit rate plus 3. Then if the effects of a burn, if under the effects of a burn buff, gain immunity to frozen and frigid and increase damage dealt by 5%. So recommendations for these are going to be Sharkery, Vector, and QJ. For Cheetah, her common key has attack boost plus 3. When using an active heal, there's a 50% chance to apply one random buff to the target for one turn. So recommendations here are Senya, Kofni, Centurisi, and Cheetah. Then moving to the next, we have Litara. So Litara has crit rate +3, which is usually rare as a stat boost, but damage dealt to targets with defensive buffs is increased by 7%. So defensive buffs are going to be, defensive debuffs are going to be your defense down. So QJ, Klukai, it's not really limited to both of these dolls, but if you can apply defense down, that doll can actually do or trigger this effect. So it doesn't have to be QJ and Klukai. If they could apply it and the other dolls have this one, have this common key, they can actually benefit from this buff. So Nagat, attack boost 3% +3. So if target unit stability index is lower than the units, increase damage dealt to them by 7%. So this one is going to be recommended to Klukai and Vector. Okay, so that's for Nagat. Then we have Suomi, defense boost 5%. So this is the start of our SSR common keys. When HP drops 80%, restores 50% of units max HP and gains defense up for 2 turns. Can only trigger once per battle. So this is recommended to Suomi herself, Olred because they're melee, and Krolik because she's melee as well. And Klukai because sometimes Klukai is easy to kill, so that is why you could actually equip this with her. So next up is going to be Michti. So attack boost is 5%. Basic attack damage is increased by 20%. So Michti, I think this so far I haven't seen any mechanic for your basic attack except for Michti. So we'll give this to Michti. Next is going to be Centurisi. So health boost +5%. At the end of the action, applies heat recovery to the closest allied unit without heat recovery. This effect has a 2-turn cooldown. This is recommended for Centurisi or any support unit that you want to use this with. I would recommend it on a support unit which in which that unit will join a team that doesn't have a healer. So this could come in handy and probably have a little bit of healing with heat recovery. So Papasha attack boost is 5%, increased damage dealt by allied unit support skill, excluding self by 10%, can trigger at most once per turn. So you can use this with Papasha because I think she has synergy with her robot, and also Vector can carry this because Vector can trigger this with most of her companions in the burn team, particularly QJ and also Sharkery. Then we have Mozinagon. Attack boost is 5%. When this unit is under the effects of Insight, increased damage dealt by 7%. So this is mostly, again, for Insight, mostly all of the snipers, except again for Dash. You could actually use it with Dash, but I'm not recommending it because Dash does deal small damage, so it's best to use it in Macchiato, Nemesis, and Mozinagat. Then next up is going to be Peritia. Crit rate is an increase of 5%. If an active skill hits 2 or more enemy units, the damage dealt is increased by 7%. So automatically, I think you should equip this with Klukai. Secondary would be Peritia, and with Lota. Klukai is going to benefit from this because of the multiple hits that she does with her AoE skill. So Vector, attack boost is going to be +5%. At the start of the turn, if an enemy unit has any burn debuffs, attack is increased by 8%. So this is applicable to QJ and to Vector herself and to Sharkery. Then for Dash, her common key gives attack boost +5. For targets with mobility less than or equal to the user or cannot move, increase face damage by 10%, which so far I think is best suited for Macchiato. Again, if you have other recommendations for this common key, then you may actually comment down in the comment section. So, for just to clear this up, so Macchiato can trigger this because she does have frozen and it's going to go under the category of can't move. Okay, so next up is Vepli. Attack boost is 5%. If the user's mobility is greater than or equal to the target's, increased damage dealt by 7%. So recommended carrier for this is Diane or Vepli herself. For Sabrina, defense boost is 5%. When dealing targeted damage, applies movement down to the target for 1 turn. I would suggest you carry this with a sniper so that if you want to slow somebody down that is rushing towards you, you can basically use this as something that would slow down because there is movement down here, and with the range that snipers have, then they could slow them down as early as, from afar. So we do have all of the snipers here, including Dush for the recommended users. So Cloak Eye attack boost is plus 5%. At the start of the turn of the user's Confectance Index, the next instance of AoE damage inflicted by an active attack is increased by 10. So definitely this will only be suited to Cloak Eye because she will really gain a lot from all of the damage for the AoE damage. Next up is going to be QJ. Crit rate. Additional crit rate is 5%. Increased damage dealt outside of units turn by 7%. So definitely, again, this is going to be very, very well suited for QJ. And the next one is going to be Diane. So Diane has a crit rate of 5%. At the start of the action, gains movement up 1 for 1 turn. This has a cooldown of 1 turn, and this is suited for low mobility units. Nobody in particular for this one. So we have Macchiato here. Attack boost is a plus 5%. At the start of the action, if own HP is greater than 80%, reduces stability damage taken from attacks by 2 points. This can trigger at most once per turn. So this one, I would highly suggest that you put this in your healers so that they may have increased survivability. So I'm suggesting Suomi or Centurisi for this one. Next is going to be Tulolo. Attack boost to plus 5%. When Confectance Index is below max, increased damage dealt by 7%. So we have recommended recipients here. Vector, Tulolo, Sharkery, and Diane. And the last one is going to be Ulred. Crit rate plus 5%. If the enemy target HP is not full before the attack, increased damage dealt by 7%. So no recommended unit in particular, so any DPS unit can actually use this one. So that is it, guys. So at least you have a guide on what is or who is the recommended recipient or user for each of the common keys. Again, if you feel that you have some suggestions to add to the recommended dolls, please do comment down in the comment section. Thank you guys for staying this far. Take care, stay safe. This is the Warden, and I'm out of here.